Good morning, St. Philip's. One of the things that I love about the Gospels is that they're always so relatable. That might not seem true since we just had a gospel about a public exorcism. I know I haven't been here quite a week, but I don't believe that we do public exorcisms frequently in this space. I know it certainly wasn't part of my job description when I was coming here. And yet, if we take it to the most simple thing, what is truly happening in this gospel is that a person, a child of God, is possessed by something ungodly, possessed by something that is not of God, and Jesus sets that person free. So my question becomes, who among us has been possessed? And that may not be something that you want to raise your hand for, but I will be the first to raise my hand. Because there are a number of things in my life, a number of times in my life where I have felt possessed by one thing or another. I can come up with all kinds of examples: guilt, shame, loneliness, pride, vanity, busyness. So many things that I feel can take over my life. One of the things that you will learn about me is that I have a favorite quote by one of the early church fathers, Irenaeus. It is, "The glory of God is the human person fully alive." The glory of God is the human person fully alive. So when I think of things that might possess us, I think of the things that keep us from being fully alive. I'll give you two examples from my life. One is from this week, and it's pretty trivial, but it's real. Earlier this week, I have two children, a 10-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, so especially in January, runny noses and colds and all of that are just a constant, right? And my 10-month-old, on top of that, is teething. So she is just, she's just covered in drool and snot right now. And every morning this week when I was taking her to daycare, I felt like a horrible mother for leaving this poor, helpless, drooling, snotty-nosed kid in the classroom. And I was possessed by guilt for not keeping her with me. I was possessed by fear that other parents were going to look on me with judgment and find me to be an unfit parent. And it wasn't until Thursday morning when I was driving into work and I was talking to my husband on the phone that the voice of reason, his name is Jay, spoke to me and said, "Do you really think that people are just walking around judging you because Lucy has a runny nose?" And for a moment, I was like, yeah, I do. And then I realized just how crazy that is and how much energy I had wasted on being worried about the fact that I have a baby with a runny nose like every other parent in this city. But I was crippled by fear and crippled by guilt. And it was keeping me from being my fullest self, from being fully alive. The second example is a little harder to share. When I think of the things that make me feel most fully alive, the things that I think in my life most glorify God, tends to be things around my vocation and my identity as a friend, as a daughter, as a partner and a mother and a priest. Those are all expressions of myself that help me to be more fully alive. But there's one expression that I'm not yet. And that is a writer. At my core, I really want to be a writer. I love to write. And yet I am not that person yet. I can think of all these reasons to not be a writer. I don't have the time. What if what I write isn't very good? What if people don't like it? What if I start, but then I fizzle out? What if I fail? All of these things that keep me from taking the time and having the courage to make those first steps to be a writer, something that feels so much to be at the core of my being that I can't quite get out of myself yet, can't quite bring to life. And all of those things that are keeping me from being that most full self, if I really think about it, are rooted in fear. All of these things, these possessions, I think maybe this is true of all of us, are deeply rooted in fear. Our reading from 1 Corinthians today says that knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. And elsewhere in our scriptures, we are reminded that perfect fear or perfect love casts out all fear. That there is no room for fear in love. We are still in this season after Epiphany where we are celebrating the truth that Jesus came to be among us as love incarnate. That love came down at Christmas. And love is not just sunshine and rainbows and feel-good love. Love is also powerful and strong. Love can look evil right between the eyes and say, "Be quiet and get out of here." Love can, just like Jesus did in our gospel today, love can look at our fears, the things that possess us, the things that keep us from being our most true selves, and say, "You have no place here. Get out." Love in the person of Jesus can set us free so that we can be who God created us to be, the most full expression of that to the glory of God. And so my invitation to us this week is to consider, what is it that possesses you? What is it that lays a claim on your life and keeps you from being your most full, most authentic self? What is it that possesses you? And then, having named that thing, naming it takes some power away from it. Having named that thing, how does Christ become real in your life? How does Jesus' love find expression in your life and speak into your life? Look at that, claim it, make it even more known, create more space for it until it drives out whatever it is that is keeping you from being the most full expression of who you are. What is it that possesses you? How can the love of Christ speak to that and rescue you from it so that you can be your most full self to the glory of God? Amen.